Hello, today I want to show you how I automate image generation using Ideogram and Make. Ideogram is a cool image generator and it also has several advantages. For one thing, they have their own API. That means I don't have to go through other service providers. The generation is synchronous. I'll show you later what that means. And finally, they are also known for being almost error-free when it comes to generating text within images. And today we'll take a look at how that works. I've also integrated Ideogram into our content marketing machine. And what we do here is generate a blog, then create an audio file from it. And at the end here, you can see that we also generate images using various image generators. So DALL-E, Ideogram, Flux, and Midjourney. I've already published videos on Midjourney and Flux, but today we're going to take a look at Ideogram. And for that, we'll first go to the Ideogram homepage and sign up there. The cool thing was, I don't know if it's still the case, but when I signed up, I received $40 in credits. I think that's very generous. And if I go up here to the menu, I find the menu item API, and that's where the entire API documentation can be found. Here on the overview page, I also see my API key. Once I generate it, it is no longer visible afterwards, so I have to copy it somewhere, but I can always generate a new one at any time. Yes, and then I click here on API documentation, and there we also find the complete documentation, including how it is used. Today, we'll be focusing on the generate function, but you can also play around with the others if you like and see what else is possible. And if we now look at generate here, we can see the definition of the API or the API endpoint. This is a post function that I then use. I have to write the API key in the header and pass the prompt and other parameters with a JSON document. These parameters called properties can be found here in the explanation. Most of them are optional. You can simply read up on which ones are relevant for you. And it's also important to note that the result is returned as a JSON document, which we then have to process further accordingly. So that means we'll just create a new scenario now. And what I like to do, this isn't necessary, but I always think it's kind of cool. I start with a variable in which I then write this JSON document. So let's call this one image prompt. And this JSON document, I've already prepared it here. Let's just copy it over here. So now let's just take a look at what I've got in there. The format is defined on the explanation page. And here we're saying I want 16:9 landscape, magic prompt auto. We're using model 2 and it should be realistic. And if you've watched my videos before, you'll notice that I almost always use this test prompt here. I say Darth Vader, so a well-known character in a specific outfit, namely with this pink dress, engaged in an activity, riding an e-scooter at a specific location, namely Times Square in New York. And because with Ideogram we have the topic of text, I've also added here today that on a screen in the background, pink Vader should be visible in the Star Wars font. And I always use this simple prompt because with a very short sentence, but with all these components, you can test an image generator very effectively. So we'll use this prompt, and now we need to trigger the image generation via an HTTP module and make a request. I'm going to rename this here image prompt, or rather a set image prompt. And here we'll actually go ahead and do generate image. All right, let me see. And then I require this one right here, please. For the API call, which in this case is referred to as generate, you then select post. And in the header section, we need to make sure to add our API key for authentication purposes. We then copy it in here. And very important down here, as we've seen, the response comes in a JSON document. So I have to make sure to enable parse response here. And then we also need to set the body type to raw and JSON. And here is where the JSON document goes, which we set using this variable here. That means, of course, I could also write it directly in here. So once I have it set up like this, I'll run it once to check if it works. That means we click on run once here. And if I did everything correctly, then at the end, we'll actually get an image as a result with a URL that I can access directly. All right, let's wait a moment. I think it's actually pretty fast. And this is the point I mentioned earlier about it being synchronous. Yes, that means I start this request and make waits until the image is generated. So I don't have to work with a webhook in a second scenario or anything like that. I get the result displayed right here. Let's click on output data down here. And now we can also see the past document. And down here, we now find the URL. Let's copy it with a double click and take a look to see if it worked. Yeah, it's pretty cool. However, it's not a Star Wars font, but at least Pink Raider is correctly displayed in the background, and you can't really see Times Square either. Yeah, okay, but so be it. After all, this is just about testing the system here. And how do we process the image further now? We say that we still need to download the image. So get a file, download file, and now we basically need to be able to access the URL here. Exactly. So I select data, then URL, and after that I upload and save the whole thing to my Google Drive. I just go to upload a file, for example. Where is it? Here. And with Google Drive, you just need to establish the connection here, then I can select it. I would like to utilize a folder from a shared drive. More specifically, this is located in the shared drive BPA folder location that I have access to. There I have one called demo, and underneath that there's a folder called examples. And the cool thing is that this drive component recognizes that with get a file from this module, we're getting a document, meaning a file, and it immediately offers it to me so I don't have to do anything else here. Then I click on OK. The Google Drive component often shows these two errors. I don't know why. If that appears, you just have to click on it again and click OK once more, and then the error is gone. So no idea why that's the case. Yes, upload file. So, and yeah, then we'll start the whole thing again. I could, for example, write in the prompt, Times Square is crowded, many people, or whatever. But we all know that the images generated there don't always exactly match what you expect. And that's why you might have to play around with the prompt a bit. So the image is generated again, then it's downloaded, then it's uploaded, and then we go to this BPA folder and file. There it is already. That should be it. Yes, and now we can see this is a bit more Star Wars. Now we don't see the e-scooter, just the handlebars. We see a few people in the background, so it worked. Yeah, I integrated Ideogram very, very easily and quickly. And as I said before, have fun with it. If you need any support, just contact us anytime. Subscribe to the channel for more videos, leave me a like, and I'd be happy if you watch the next video as well. See you then. Bye.